Welcome to the weekly market review with myself, Kenny, and James on the line. Today is obviously today is the 8th of June, 2025, and we starting with the usual pairs. Dixie first shot. Okay, so I'm starting on the monthly chart, and you can see that we got this big volume of selling here, which kind of broke these two EMAs, the 50 EMA and the 50 EMA. So simple moving average. It came right into the trend line. So we got a trend line that's running right from kind of here through here, and it's come to the trend line. Um, Now, what I'm seeing here is on the monthly chart, you can see there was a lot of absorption of volume here on this candle. And then we kind of fade the fake out, and then maybe you go back in to here, to maybe to I think probably to somewhere in the wick of this candle. These bases here become your resistance point. So all these bases here become resistance points. So with this candle, I expect this to go lower. But I expect normally with these PVSRA candles, when they light up like this, you should be looking for a potential reverse or maybe a big kind of a move to the upside. And there's a question mark whether we've already had it here already, and therefore you continue going down. I think when I step it back to the daily chart, uh, there is, you can see there's a dead cross incoming. And normally with dead crosses on the daily chart or the weekly chart, you tend to rally into the dead cross first before you kind of do your kind of dump. So and last week we printed quite a good inverted hammer type of candle, and we came down slightly. It's like a fake out. And MACD is still getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So, um, I think we go up into this box, the area of interest I've drawn here, and we may even go all the way up to this point here, do a double top, whilst the dead cross comes in, and then once the dead cross happens, we will then come back and exceed. There's a pink candle, which is my area of interest. It's on the daily chart, and I'll bring it for you to see. It's sitting right here, here, and this candle is our what? Don't do that. Uh, that is our area of interest. So I'd expect us to exceed this candle at some point in the future. Um, well, actually, hold on. That one has already been exceeded. Sorry, there's another one somewhere. It's on the daily chart, so I would have to step it down to the daily chart to show you. Right. So if we go to the daily chart, it's sitting there, it's sitting here. Yeah, there we go. There it is. So it's sitting here. We've not exceeded this, and that's the interest candle for me. So we will exceed this candle when we come back down. But that's probably going to take a few weeks. I think you're talking, a couple of weeks before that happens anyway. So, but for next week, based on the daily chart and the weekly chart, I think we are inside the KC channel, and we've come kind of touched it, and we're kind of bouncing away. So I think coming to test this box is a potential likelihood before any further downside continues. So that's what I'm seeing on the Dixie, and I'm gonna pass it to James to share his thoughts on it as well.
Yeah, so just the past couple of weeks, I've just kind of been sticking to price formations and kind of price shapes. It's been shaping out well for us. We kind of called this upward jump and then the downward trajectory, just based on this move being very strong and the global economic state of the world. I do think that we ride this lower megaphone down, and I think we break out of it one way or another, either in September of this year or December of this year. We go into the weekly, we could see these strong downward moves are kind of hard to get away from. We've been trying to hold this line here, but it hasn't been working. you can look at it from the flip too, like the when the trend moves in a direction, when there's a strong move, it tends to keep going that way with Dixie. And I think that this move has a little more juice to it just based on, us breaking this multi-year long bottom. So I think we're going to do some consolidation at these lows, and then Trump will do something to kind of bring the dollar back to life a little bit. He is under scrutiny and everything else right now, so I think to strengthen the dollar is to ruin everything else. So he's kind of hedging his popularity at this point. I mean, he can't throw the book at everything all at once. But I think as things start to cool off, as far as them cleaning house in the government, I think things will start to shift towards maybe the strengthening of the dollar later in his term. Maybe just because of the fact that I don't know, he doesn't have to run for an election again. Uh, I don't know. I'm just kind of sticking towards this megaphone formation, and my basis is based off this lower megaphone. And I will be watching if this upper yellow trend line gets broke. This would be invalidated. Like probably a weekly closure above this would be invalidated. Even a 3-day, this would be invalidated. But I'm just gonna kind of roll with this for now, and that's all I got.
Okay, so next pair that we are looking at is the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq on the monthly chart, as you can see here, I think last week my interest box was at the bottom here. I've just moved it to the top. So we hit the interest box and we started going up. Um, I think we continue creeping up based on this signature. We continue to creep up first. If I step it down to the weekly chart, you can see the volume is quite strong here, very strong volume, and we've gone higher, so that's okay. So I'd expect next week for us to go higher first, even if we're going to collapse. I'd expect us to go higher into this box first, and then we'll see how it looks like, because that would probably give us a double top here. That can give us a double top here, triple top type scenario. And I think probably we'll struggle. I think we'll struggle at these tops, definitely. So I think I'm looking forward to a triple top type scenario on the Nasdaq into next week. Um, so I wouldn't go long on this. I would probably be looking for probably have some shorts sitting around these points here, 22152, or 22135, or 22248, somewhere there. And then you just run it back. Would be what I'd expect on this weekly chart. On the daily chart, step into a daily chart. We've already got our warning shot here. So, this is a definite manipulation type of candle. Not this one here, because see the volume that we got here, and this candle's volume, and we've overpowered the whole body of the candle. So it suggests to me, okay, you go up slightly and then you collapse. This is a warning shot. We've got a warning shot in regards to the upside. Um, so I'd expect the triple top, double top type scenario to play out. And another reason for that as well is we have a golden crossing coming here between the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA. I think this is the SMA EMA. And normally with these golden crosses, when they happen, like here, you see you go up into the golden cross, and after the golden cross, you then have a pullback like we did here. So, I mean, this could take a few days for it to happen. So I'd expect at some point this will cross, and when it crosses, by then they probably would have gone up to do that double top we are talking about, and finished, and then it can start collapsing down as a result. So. Nasdaq next week, bit of a move to the upside, but cautious in terms of I'll probably be looking for a short on it to come down first before we continue going up. I could also be wrong, and it could just blast through it. It could just blast through these points, these resistance points sitting here and here. It could just blast through it and continue going up. If we close outside the KC channel like this, if it becomes something like even like this candle, then I'll expect this to continue to going up. So if we can close outside, then I'd expect this to continue to go in into next week to continue going up again first. So it all depends on how the candle on the daily chart closes next the Monday's open candle. If it closes above the KC channel, then I'll expect more upside first. Maybe a couple of days going up first before the collapse happens. So that's what I'm seeing on the Nasdaq. And I think there's another thing I probably need to share quickly on the Nasdaq just to prove a point. You can see like all these stuff that feed into the Nasdaq, right? Netflix. So Netflix is at a point where I think it's going to fall. This is an interest candle area. It's likely to pull back into it. So 1100 on Netflix from where it is. If you go and look at say a Meta, for example, again, it's at a point where I will be taking a short. It's outside the KC channel for 2 weeks. I'll be taking a short on it. So it's likely to pull back. You've got say Google, which was one of them as well. And if you look at Google, okay, Google looks much better. It looks much more better from a going up perspective. Microsoft, if you look at Microsoft is also where it's almost outside the KC channel, so which means it's not got left long left in it. So there's a lot, and then Nvidia again. Nvidia is another one where okay, it may go and do probably a triple top as well. So you've got a bit more maybe movement to the upside, but there's a lot of warning signs on a lot of these charts that feed into the Nasdaq. That worries me when I look at those charts. So although the although Nasdaq continues to go up, and I think there's probably one more week to the upside left in it, I think we just have to be really cautious about a potential move or cooling off or pullback before we continue going up. So that's all I've got on this, and I'm gonna pass it over to James to share his thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, so like I said about the dollar, it's going to continue to shrink. This thing is going to pump. We're talking about probably bull market until 2026, August. I mean, it's been doing the same pattern over and over again. I mean, it would be foolish to think it's not going to happen again. I'll show you in a second, but
Hmm.
we're kind of it's just one, two, three, one, two, three, one, two, three. And in between each one, two, three, there's a weekly lower Bollinger Band touch. So if you want to go through the last videos we've been doing, I can do it in a second. The weekly Bollinger Band has been on the lower, has been getting touched, and then we kind of jump off into that new cycle. This is expanded. This has opened up a little bit because we're on the daily time frame, so we're gonna have a little bit more data and we can kind of see what's going on. So what's kind of been happening is we have a pump, a little consolidation period, a pump consolidation, and I think that's what's going to happen again. We had our weekly touch, and I think this is the first leg into this three leg pattern. This was a weekly touch on the lower Bollinger, and then we have kind of like this where the weekly or the daily Bollinger starts to turn up. So that's our basis for our top line, and then our bottom line is our midline. And I drew this
I-
up while you
I've,
were
I've got
talking. It's
I've got a quick question, James,
hmm
if I may. So when we went outside the Bollinger, where you were, right, where you were talking about where you drew the line from, where you drew the S, yeah. So you see that we came back to the middle of the band before we continued the journey. And are you expecting something similar here?
Yeah, no, I mean yeah, that's an idea that I talked about ad nauseum when I kind of drew these up a little bit. Unfortunately, I think, how I said, 66% chance of consolidation and a 33% chance of a blow off top.
Hmm.
I mean, if you want to consider this first blue path of a slight downward trend slash sideways, price could follow that as an average and kind of do something like this. If you and by the time we get to what is it? end of July,
Yeah.
you, we're gonna kind of be touching it either
Oh,
way. So, if you want to call us kind of hovering in this channel
yeah.
consolidation, I don't think we do something like as drastic as this,
Yeah.
just because when you look at the first time the Bollinger Band turned up in a meaningful way, I mean, oh yeah, well we did go down and touch it. And the only one where we didn't go down and touch it was um this one right here. So I mean, we didn't. This kind of wasn't really a touch because we didn't go to the upper. But where it kind of turns up and we just grind along this thing, and then we have our first consolidation period, and then we're jumping into the middle leg, and then we're consolidating, and then we're jumping into the middle leg, and we did that one, two, twice, maybe three times if I go back one more, but. Yeah, I've seen enough. I don't really need to go back anymore. You can put Fibonacci lines on this, off of the first leg and see where, if you guys want to mess around with something like this, you take your bottom, you'll just go up and then just stop at your first leg and then take it down. My Fibonacci's are all jacked up right now, but it's just this will probably extend to like the 1.618 or something. And then you would get your target for this line here.
Mm,
So yeah, either we consolidate a little bit or we just ride this up because it kind of looks like it wants to ride this upper Bollinger up.
yeah.
It really has a lot of strength right now for whatever reason. So, I think we kind of just honestly use the upper Bollinger as a midline and really just stick towards the top of it. And then once we get up maybe, to an area of interest, I don't know where that would be, but say it's somewhere around 24,000, and then you would see kind of a drastic, kind of big percent pullback down to the middle. And then everyone will go, oh my goodness, it's over. We probably test out the top of this here.
And then go up again.
Maybe spend something, yeah, and then we're gonna blast off again. And then usually the third leg is the longest, so that's really gonna be a face melter. This first leg up is gonna be kind of a disbelief, like, oh, people, kind of in disbelief about it, but keep going. I mean, it'd be pretty silly to go against the Nasdaq ever, especially when it's bullishly posturing into all-time highs. I mean, you even heard how hesitant I was, talking about Bitcoin at all-time highs because it could just do anything. But
Yeah.
it's when it happens and things like the Nasdaq and the SPY, it really has a lot more weight to it. So that's
Mm.
all I got.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, our next one is the spider, and I don't want to waste too much time on this because it's very similar to the Nasdaq. We've got like a V-shaped recovery on it, and it's clearly above the middle. We are clearly above the middle of the KC channel. I think let me put my Bollinger Band on. If it's off, yeah, I want to put it on. Okay, and we are also kind of above the middle of the Bollinger Band as well. So, you know, kind of in a very strong territory, we inching towards the Bollinger Band, which is here, and this RKC channel. I've just put a mini target of us to hit this box here as a target area, and then we see what happens when we hit that box. There's nothing on this weekly chart. The only thing I guess maybe I'd say is, volume. Volume seems to be declining, 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 but we seem to be inching up. That's the only concern. But I guess, we could get another one of this candle next week. We could potentially get one like that that pushes us above the all the resistance, and then you're into a different kind of a move to the upside. So again, it looks bullish. There's nothing wrong here. If you go into the daily chart, again, it looks good. Everything is looking okay here for me. There's nothing of concern. We've had a bit of a volume of selling here, which is obviously a concern in terms of selling volume, but we've engulfed the whole candle. And if we've been able to engulf the whole candle, then you continue to trek up. So Next week, I expect, us to go higher first. Even if we come any pullback, would have to go higher first before that happens. So that's it on the S Spider. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's very similar to the Nasdaq as well.
Yeah, so kind of the same thing with SPY. Just to give you kind of like a broad view, because it's kind of the same idea as Nasdaq, so I don't want to waste anyone's time too much. But there is a lot going on, structurally from like 2018. Each kind of if you want to think of things like in a channel, you can take these highs off of things. These highs always get broken up to the upside. All of these, you take your top to your top and you shoot a line, and it always gets like broken to the upside. It's just got so much power. And like the lower lows from 18, 19, 20, you know, these are these are significant formations. So what I can do for you guys is kind of point one out to you. So this is a flag. Here's our pole, okay? And then here's our flag. This is a flag pole right here, okay? So to measure the move, we take the length of the pole and we put it at the break of the channel for a measured move. We just had a measured move play out in Bitcoin, I believe. So these things are really something. So, this is all the way up here at 880. So, good things to come. I think we are well on our way. And that's all I got for SPY.
Okay, so let's look at gold, which is our next pair. So monthly chart, I'll start from the monthly chart. And we've got this big volume of selling buying here. And normally we way outside the KC channel, way outside the Bollinger Band. It's most likely you're going to pull back into the band. You can't stay outside the band for too long because we've been here one, two, three, four months in a row outside the band. Normally, you can't stay outside for too long. Similarly to here, one, two, three, four, pull back into the band, then continue going. So I expect the same thing here. And also, there's a lot of selling on this candle, lot of selling because you can have this volume and have such a body candle, which means the selling pressure is still intact. If I step it down to the weekly chart, what you can see on the weekly chart, MACD is coming down, um, but there is some good signs, I guess. I mean, this sort of candle that we formed here, inverted hammer, can be a reversal sign to the upside. So, and the volume is good, so reasonable volume. The volume is exceeded that, but there's a lot of selling pressure at the top. So if I step it down to the daily chart, yeah, the sellers are really kind of, inching up themselves. Um, and this trend line here to there to through here, if looks like we'll break this trend line and maybe we'll come and do a kind of a stop somewhere here and we'll see whether we get support. Um, I think there's more downside on gold when I look at it from that perspective. I think there's more downside on gold. I think gold ultimately comes all the way back down to the 3,050 maybe, somewhere here, the lower part of the Bollinger. It comes to that zone. I think the initial step might be here. We might stop here, 318, 3185 might be our initial stop. And then after that, you come into the lower Bollinger. Um, I don't have any interest candles that I'm following except for this one here, which is sitting on this 12-hour chart, which is here. So this is an interest candle, which should be exceeded at some point. So I think if I'm looking at it from a drop perspective, then I'd say, okay, this is one drop. this is another drop, or this is noise here, and you're going to collapse and come down and form the final leg to the downside. And normally the third leg down is also going to be one of the strongest as well. So it's not unreasonable to expect this to come and exceed this area of interest candle and then continue going up. So that's all I've got on gold. It's a short for me. I would not even touch this for long. And I'll pass it to James to share his thoughts as well.
Can you hear me?
Can yeah, can you hear you now?
All right. Yeah. So, I've given you guys some killer trades with gold the past couple weeks. I said we were going to go back into this candle here. We see this abnormal volume breaking, and I said we're going to go back into it and then kind of reverse down. So the trade for gold, unfortunately, has passed. If you guys wanted to jump in here on this candle, congratulations, that's a big gainer. Um, but if not, unfortunately, this is in a do not touch zone because the the length from our stop loss is, our stop loss for something like this is at the tip of this candle because it's an abnormal candle. So it's gonna get crossed up into, and that volume is gonna be transferred into the price. Um, so this length to where our target is too far away. So I'm just gonna kind of not touch that unless we want to come back into the zone. But at this point, if it's coming back into the zone, it's probably a bullish thing. I mean, crazier things have happened. We can go up into the zone and then turn back down kind of for a triple top. That wouldn't be unheard of. But, that's kind of a wait and see thing. If it comes up here and you're starting to notice some volume signatures on lower time frames and you want to jump in a short, I wouldn't be totally against that. That would be a good trade in my opinion. But as soon as we go up into price discovery, I would be out of that trade immediately. Um, as far as what happens now, I think we are clearly using this midline Bollinger as support right here. And if you want to draw a straight line on your own time, that's fine. But for now, we're using squigglies. And you can kind of create this bearish formation where, Monday comes around, we can come up here, trap more liquidity, and then fall back down to this volume abnormality of 3,000. One way or another, we will be back down at this level,
Yeah,
one
100%.
way or another.
100, 100%. It's a function
Yeah,
of time. That's all. Yeah,
and what we do at with this candle because this is going to act like a magnet, but depending on it's just us being in the middle is making me uncomfortable as far as trading it. So I wouldn't trade this. I would have grabbed this short at this level, rode it down. I would have been down at this level waiting for it to go to the lower Bollinger, but once it crossed back above it, I would have been out of that short right there. So um, that's all I
cool.
got for gold.
Good. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at is the VIX volatility index. I think last week when we got together, I think I was talking about it coming down into our interest box. It's come down, but it didn't get to the interest box. I think I expect it to continue coming down. I think when it gets to here, there's going to be a lot, there's going to be something happening once it gets to these bottoms here. I don't know when, but whenever it gets into this box, into this here area, I think we can expect something to happen. We can anticipate, and it starts to consolidate like this. So when we start seeing it hit this point and it starts to consolidate for a few weeks like this, we should be expecting that there's going to be some explosive works happening in the market at some point. But for now, everything I think looks okay here. So let's move on to Bitcoin dominance and talk about Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance, I'll probably start on the monthly chart. And so this one, the key for me here is, I got a pink candle that needs to be exceeded, area of interest somewhere here around 53. We've kind of done this loop to the upside, and unfortunately, this candle and this selling volume. here suggests to me that we'll come below the selling volume before even if we're going to go up. It's such a huge selling volume that we can't just continue going up. We might try to go up a little bit and maybe do a double top, something like that. Um, but I wouldn't expect us to continue going up. We've been rejected off the Bollinger with a huge volume on the monthly chart. So at least I'd expect something like this, like that. So I'd expect something like that. And I expect us to probably come all the way down here, see how it goes, and maybe, we bounce up and then continue the journey to come and exceed the pink candle, which is I don't know which time frame is on, but there's one there which I've highlighted. Um, and so if you bring it to the weekly chart, you can see that the volume is tailing off. So you can see volume is lower, higher, lower, lower. MACD is tailing off. Um, so it's not really. And again, if you look at the volume, the body of the candle is not really moving that much at all. Even if you look at this and look at the volume, the body of the candle compared to this body of the candle is pretty small. So it suggests to me there's something going on. And if you step it down to the daily chart, we can start seeing some weaknesses going on there as well at the tops. So, selling pressure is stepping in. I think the key for me is if we close this candle, daily candle below this one, and it's a fat red candle that goes below it, maybe to somewhere here, that would really be good because it will confirm the downside would likely start. If we step it to 12 hours, um, I like these sort of roll up, roll up, roll up. I like those sort of things, and you can see that roll up with a MACD, lower MACD again, lower MACD again. So if you put a line across it, you can see energy is not there, right? So, and that's exactly what's happening on the tops. So you can see top roll, all this roll up, all this roll up, all the roll up, you keep going up. So I'd expect this to collapse at some point. Really, really, this June, I expect dominance to collapse. Um, so that's what we're watching on that. I would be expecting this to collapse at some point. Most likely may start from today. Who knows? Um, but yeah, the signatures are telling me it's not looking good on even at 8 hours. We had this sell-off. Okay, we have this big candle. Of course, you normally will go back into it, and now we're going back into it, and we seem to be kind of retracing back down. So dominance, I expect dominance in June to collapse, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. Total three, I'll quickly have a look at total three. Total three, we've done the three move to the downside that I like to see. So here is the loop, here is another loop, and here's another loop. So, I think it goes up. Total three keeps going up based on those three loops. I mean, sometimes you can have another loop back into this, can have another loop back and do a lower low because of this red candle. So we could do a loop back to do a lower low into this candle here before we continue to going. But at the moment, when you look at these signatures, it looks like it wants to keep going up on the 8 hour chart. If I bring it on the daily chart, um, this trend line that we've drawn, I think we are above that. We're trying to break it. We're trying to break the trend line. So if I just make it smaller, I've cut through here. We're trying to break it back up. The stochastic RSI is now kind of turned up and it's trying to go up. RSI is crossed over. Yet, I mean, MACD is just yet to cross. But there's a lot of good things on this chart, which suggests that actually, um, even if there is anything, you might do a retest of this 200 and then you continue going up some more. So it's looking good on the total three market cap, excluding Ethereum and BTC. And then I'll quickly look at the BTC chart from BlackRock and no CME, sorry, CME. So they closed. This is the how they closed on the daily, and you can see all this trend line here. Um, we didn't engulf the body of this candle. which I was hoping that we would do, but we didn't. However, when I step into the weekly chart, you can see that that's a rejection of lower prices based on this wick. I mean, we can test this wick, maybe 50% of the wick somewhere here, 1025. We could still do that, and it still will be okay for us to continue going up. So it's looking good on their chart from that perspective. You would think that we would go up some more first before we collapse. If there's any collapse, to be honest. But there's a small, I would say there's about 30%, 40% chance that we come back down into around 95K into this box before we continue going. So you got to err on that side of caution. And I'm going to bring it now to the actual Bitcoin perpetuals chart from Binance, just to have a look to see what's going on. Uh, if we have a look at the weekly chart, so it's forming the sort of candle that, we like to see, which is a rejection, strong rejection of lower prices. Look like a double bottom here type scenario. 100, 305, 100, 678 is there or thereabouts as a double bottom. So if Sunday we close like this, then maybe there might be a pullback to about somewhere here. It's possible to test this top here. I wouldn't want to see us go below. If I just get, I don't want to see price ideally going below here. Let's even go for the middle of the middle. I don't want to see price below this line. If price goes below this line, it's not good. It means you're going to go to the 95K. So long as price stays above this, then it's okay. But it's looking really bullish on the weekly currently. The daily chart, as you can see, we are inching upwards and upwards. Okay, the volume needs to come in. Volume is declining, which is not great. But stochastic RSI is pointing upwards. MACD is ticking up in the right direction that we like to see. RSI is just about crossing on the daily chart. So it's looking really good. I mean, there's a resistance here that it needs to cross at 106. But we've exceeded all the interest candles that I was looking at on the daily chart. So this one has been exceeded, this one has been exceeded, and there's only one left, which is the tiny bit, which is sitting at 95K, which is I think on my 12 hour. Is it this one? Is it on the 12 hours? There is one here. There's one here on the 12 hour. That's the only one left of an interest for me in terms of exceed. So, you know, if it's possible we come down, there's a chance, there's a probability to that. There's a 30% chance. So if we're able to break this, if we're able to break across this resistance zone here, then we'll continue going up. But if we close midnight red, then you can expect this to come down. But so far, so good. It's looking really good. If I even step it up to 4 hours, we can see, it's kind of setting up a bullish type of signature here. So it's looking good. It's looking good. We still have a pink candle here, which needs to be exceeded at some point. And sometimes we can go and do even 145, 150K and then pull back to this point, which will be actually be correct after you go all the way to 160, 180, come back to 100K, which is like almost 80% drop. And that's what you expect on Bitcoin. So we don't necessarily have to exceed this pink candle anytime soon, although it's one that we need to watch because if we see any weakness off the top here, then you can expect that we'll be going below here, which means that 95K becomes a possibility. So that's what I've got on Bitcoin, and I'm gonna pass it to James to share his thoughts as well.
Yeah, so in my opinion, the chance to jump into this bull run was in this blue box here. So for those who got in, congratulations. For those who didn't, have fun sitting on the sidelines. This is, you're not really going to see much of a pullback on this as we kind of grind up here. I mean, it looks like this is abnormal for Bitcoin. You'd see something like this on, I don't know, like Forex or like a meme coin on like a sole centralized exchange. But like this is very, all this is pre-planned. Everything that happened here, this target that I was talking about for all this time, since it was created right here, I said it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And here, this was if you followed my trading method, this was your entry point, and I would put a stop loss right below your entry, a $1 below your entry. Um, and I would ride it up to 125K and then I would cut it. It's gonna be it's gonna be nerve-wracking, but that would be that would be worth it. Um, if some godforsaken turn of events, which I give like 10%, we got liquidity targets from 91.6 to 88.8, but just seeing what happened, how we barely got into the box at all. And then these Michael Saylor bots. Okay, this is, you want me to explain to you what this is? Okay, Michael Saylor spends about, let me think, probably $13 million on a team, and this team, they buy Bitcoin with their millions and billions of dollars. And this team, they do things like study volume analysis, study, the things that work. So what happened was Michael Saylor's quant team is, or just for example, there are people who know how to do this PVSRA method, and you could look at how much money they have. I mean, seriously, like this is one person, whether it's Binance, whether it's, I don't know, who you want to call it. Is someone biting my style? Is someone, seeing the ideas I've been posting? Maybe. I mean, either way you put it, you're not fooling me. If I want to jump in on this move, if we want to jump in on this move, we can. So they can jump our style and make the price move right out of the box as soon as it gets in there. That's fine. I'll jump in on the candle after it. Ain't got no problem with me, man. That's what I like about it. It's unfoolable. It's there. It's printed. And for those who got in, I would take it to 125. Um, I would honestly give it like a 5 to 10% chance that we break this low and we come back into the zone. Honestly, it's just not happening. So, sell everything and long Bitcoin and the Nasdaq until like the end of summer, I guess, or whatever. I mean, those two things are gonna have a hell of a 2025 in my opinion. So that's
Cool.
all I really got.
I've just got a few questions.
Yeah,
So on the liquidity that you highlighted it of the green break, right? That green
yeah.
break, which
Uh-huh.
happened back in, I think it goes back if you
May
go,
tw or the
yeah,
8th of May.
there you go. Yeah, 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 yeah. That one, yeah. So 8th of May. So and your next one is sitting, where's your next one, which is the green one?
Below it.
The next one below that is sitting at what that okay, here we go. No.
This
Uh
might be a lower time frame. This might be a 15 or a 30 or a 45.
so you go another
These are 30s. Yeah, these are 30-minute breaks.
right, okay.
This one is 22nd of April.
22nd of April as well.
Yeah, both of them.
Okay. And then your next one sits where?
It's just those.
Oh,
It's
just
just these
those.
two. Yeah,
Uh
this
it
isn't
is nine ninety
Oh, well,
thousand.
I guess if you really want it, what's here?
You got another break here as well, which is sitting down there. Yeah,
And
Thursday.
I think that one is like good. I mean, it's like pretty much down
I
to
mean,
like
yeah, they've taken most of it anyway.
let's see.
They recovered most of it on their pullback. So on the pullback, if you look at the pullback from
Yeah.
it, they recovered most of it anyway. They recovered
Oh
most
yeah,
of it.
there's a little bit left, but I mean, just because it's on the 30, I wouldn't really worry too much about it. I mean, it could randomly find a bottom here. It could happen. So I mean, from
Yeah.
78,
But I don't think we come
yeah,
into 77
78.
anyway. So,
Nah.
all right, cool. Okay, let's pause this. Okay, so I want to quickly show you some other things. I don't know whether you can see my screen. James, can you see the fear and greed index?
Yes.
Okay, great. So some of the things to support some of the things we are talking about, Bitcoin, and James, obviously very bullish. I'm also bullish as well. Is you can see your fear and greed is sitting at what 50, if we just kind of refresh it and see what it looks like. It's in the 50s. So yeah, it's in the 55, which means we've got room to go, like room to go into 80s and 90s, right? So this is looking good. That's one bullish sign. I also looked at this key indicator from CoinGlass and look at the liquidity sitting at different levels on this 4-hour chart on their Bitcoin on the Binance perpetuals, and we look at the liquidity sitting there, right? And you can see that there is, with the exception of maybe liquidity, which is sitting at 103, this is why I was saying that we could look back. We could do a look back first to retest the support zone, and you can see the support zone on the daily chart on Bitcoin, on the daily, on the 12 hour, I think it was. Yeah, so which is here, which is somewhere around, somewhere here, 10, 104, somewhere here. This zone is a support zone. So we could do a kind of a loop back first before we go. And that's the only reason why I was pointing that out. So this liquidity sitting here at 103,942, they could easily come and take it because that's the only big liquidity left. The big ones, as you can see, are all above, right? So you got some at 106, huge ones sitting at 107, 107, and then you got some here, 112. And if I just make it zoom it in, it goes all the way up to 114. So, normally if they get to these sort of zones, they will just keep wigging it up and it will wake up all the way into the 125. And that will be all the liquidity taken, really. And then, of course, at that point, they can do what they want. I'm sure there will be new liquidity, which will be building at the top because people keep shorting and shorting and thinking it's not going to go up. So that is another good indication, with the exception of this liquidity cluster at 104, which I think, potentially could be taken before we kind of go, but it's a remote chance. It's a very small chance that happens. Um, maybe 30% chance that okay, you wick down first before you go, continue to go up. So um, I think that is about it in terms of the alpha that we want to share this week. None of what we're obviously sharing here is financial advice. It's just we are just sharing what our thoughts are and recording it for our own benefit so that we can come back to it to see what we're thinking. So this is not financial advice. We don't know how much money anybody's got. We don't know what your savings are. We don't know what your financial plans are. So we can't advise you in terms of what to do. But this is our thoughts and this is what we're doing, and we're just sharing it. So with that, if you like the content and you like what you hear, then obviously click the like button when we share it. And have a good week, and we'll catch up.